On a desolate and unknown planet, an alien vulture discovers a hand, greedily devouring it without realizing what terrifying existence lies buried beneath the rubble. The owner of the hand is named Riddick, who is currently severely wounded and struggling to crawl to the water's edge. Despite being desperately thirsty, he refuses to drink. Suddenly, the roar of a beast explodes in his ears, and a distant alien creature resembling a hyena has locked onto him. As the hyena draws closer, Riddick rolls into the water, alerting the poisonous fish beneath, which is why he had refrained from drinking. Facing danger, Riddick stays motionless until the hyena leaves and the fish submerge. As he reaches the shore and before he can catch his breath, another hyena appears. The hyena pounces, but Riddick does not flinch. He kicks, strikes with a club, and finally throws an object into the distance to successfully distract the hyena. Ahead lies a canyon, and as Riddick reaches it and drinks his fill, the persistent spirit of the hyena follows. Suddenly, from a mud pit, two tentacles emerge, and in the next second, a monster resembling a scorpion leaps out, fiercely biting the hyena, which howls in pain and collapses dead. As Riddick turns, a larger creature targets him. It is not a tentacle but a tail. The creature flips onto the shore, and if Riddick hadn't grabbed a bone stick to block the attack, one can imagine the outcome. Riddick narrowly escapes. Watching the monster retreat back into the mud pit, Riddick remembers a time when compared to monsters, humans were the most frightening. In the past, after he had slain a god and crowned himself the new king of the universe, power made him dull and lust eroded his will. Finally, his rebellious lieutenant, Vako, exploiting Riddick's obsession with finding his home planet, deceived him onto a perilous planet. Caught off guard by a scarred man, Riddick ultimately fell to the bottom of this planet. Now, having survived a great disaster, Riddick must first recover his energy, conquer this planet, and then take back everything that was his. Fishing to stave off hunger and restore his strength is the first step. The second step is to climb high and look for a way out. In a sandstorm, Riddick finds a young hyena, traps it in a cage made of bones, and nurtures it carefully. A month later, Riddick discovers a paradise on the other side of the canyon, with only one path leading there, blocked by the terrifying creatures in the mud pit. Knowing your enemies allows for victory in 100 battles. Riddick summons a small creature, extracts its venom, and then makes an injector to test on the young hyena, ensuring the poison only causes unconsciousness and is not lethal. He then starts to immunize himself, enduring the poison multiple times. 2 months later, Riddick becomes immune to the toxin. Equipped with his gear, it's time to confront the monster. With a leap, Riddick dives handsomely into the water as the monster's tail emerges, and the first round officially begins. Riddick taunts and probes the monster, getting to know its weaknesses. Seeing the right moment, Riddick allows himself to be bitten, then strikes with his knife, successfully killing the monster. The young hyena yelps excitedly, wanting to fight alongside its master. Riddick smiles faintly, and in the next scene, behind him, a larger and fiercer monster is ready to strike. Dodging left and right, Riddick is knocked to the ground. Seeing the hyena in danger, Riddick stands and holds it in his arms, then sprints towards the monster, slashing it open with his weapon. Thus, a man and a dog traverse mountains and rivers, and 3 months later, the young hyena has grown. Relying on the dog's keen sense of smell, Riddick quickly finds a space base. Tearing open a bag of dog food, Riddick thinks his pet will like it, but the hyena, not just any ordinary dog, pulls out a large ham, clearly preferring it. Suddenly, thunder sounds from the horizon, and Riddick looks up, sensing an impending disaster. The creatures in the mud pit are too terrifying. Once it rains, they will overrun the entire planet, leading to utter destruction. It seems it's time to hitch a ride. Inside the space base, Riddick activates the communication tower, deliberately exposing his location. As a former top-wanted fugitive in the universe, it doesn't take long for a bounty hunter spaceship to land at the base. The fully armed bounty hunters search but do not find Riddick, who has left a message on the door: either die or leave a spaceship. The bounty hunters, hardened by living on the edge, are not easily scared. Their first step is to set up defensive sensors around the base. The second step, after killing a woman to intimidate Riddick, involves the lead hunter, Santana, blustering that he can't imagine how soon Riddick's tactics will make him cry for his father and mother. Another spaceship lands. They are mercenaries, with Riddick as their target too. The leader, Johns, is straightforward. They don't want the bounty, suggesting that since the bounty hunters arrived first, they should make the first move. If they fail, the mercenaries will take over. The bounty hunters and mercenaries strike a deal, and the bounty hunters act first. Santana cunningly takes out an energy cell from each of the 2 spaceships and locks them in a box. Riddick, wanting the spaceship, will surely come for them. and they only need to wait for him, setting a trap to catch him. As night falls, the first round begins, the sensors detecting life, a hyena. Suddenly, the sensors go haywire. It turns out the hyena has carried away parts of the sensor, which Riddick smashes to disorient his opponents. As expected, Santana and his partner are cut in half by large animal traps. Previously, Riddick had found some animal traps in the base, which now serve as a greeting gift for the first round. Santana is terrified and stumbles back, and the next second, another comrade's scream of agony is heard. Two men arrive to find a bloody scene, standing back to back in panic. Turning around, their companion has been dragged into the darkness. At dawn, Santana is shocked and furious. Half of his 7-man bounty team has been wiped out overnight. With no other choice, Santana must team up with Johns, who prefers to strike first to achieve surprise victories, targets the hyena with a tracking shot, avoiding vital areas. Wounded animals typically return to their owners, so they only need to follow the hyena to catch Riddick off guard. Riding motorcycles, Johns and his men soon enter a cave. Believing they've cornered Riddick, they open fire, but are shocked to find a bounty hunter previously abducted by Riddick instead. Thinking he has the upper hand, Johns doesn't anticipate Riddick's deception, which leaves them disoriented. Riddick wins the second round. A woman is bathing, hearing noises she assumes are hallucinations. Then, a large hand appears behind her. On the roof, one might think Riddick is peeping, but he's actually using the woman's makeup mirror to spy on his enemies. As Johns rushes back to the base, he finds the communication device destroyed and Riddick's message on the box storing the energy cells. Has the energy been taken? Santana hastily unlocks it. Finding everything intact, they've been fooled again. Riddick, barely visible on the rooftop, listens as the group discusses their next move against him. He appears like a ghost, taking a hostage and stealthily stealing the energy cells. After distancing himself from the base, he buries the energy cells as the storm approaches, awakening the monsters in the mud pit. Johns and Santana, completely panicked by the destroyed communications and stolen energy cells, are at a loss. At that moment, Riddick boldly approaches, offering them a chance for peace. Both sides disarm as a sign of sincerity. With the hyena lurking nearby, Riddick succinctly states that more dangerous beings than him are about to emerge on the planet. He only wants a spaceship. If possible, everyone can leave safely. Holding the energy cells, Riddick guesses they won't dare attack. Unexpectedly, Santana draws a hidden gun to shoot. The hyena, fiercely protective, leaps to attack. Riddick raises his sword to save his beloved pet, but nearby, Bounty Hunter Doll is ready with a tranquilizer gun. After several shots, Riddick falls to his knees. A gunshot follows, and Riddick, filled with sorrow and anger, watches helplessly as the hyena collapses in front of him. Santana foolishly thinks to kill Riddick, but Johns intervenes in time, capturing Riddick alive. They pummel him, wanting to know where the energy cells are hidden and the truth about John's son's death. 10 years ago, John's son had captured Riddick, whose spaceship later crashed on a monster-infested planet. John's son, selfish and cold-hearted, survived by exploiting women and children, which Riddick could not tolerate. They fought fiercely, and John's son ended up as monster food. Learning the truth, Johns is incredulous, unable to believe his son was so despicable. Riddick stops explaining, staring at Santana. "You killed my dog. Now your head will roll." As the heavy rain begins, Johns, having learned the truth, leaves Riddick to Santana's mercy. Santana is excited, thinking all he needs to do is place Riddick's head in a box to complete their mission. Santana raises his knife, but suddenly, eerie sounds surround the base. They rush outside under the spotlight to see countless monsters approaching in the mud pit. They lock the doors as one person panically fires a gun, only to be dragged away by a monster the next second. The roof creaks under the weight, and it's only a matter of time before the monsters break in. Everyone panics, but Riddick smiles, warning them to release him quickly. Once they have the energy cells, they can all escape on spaceships. Otherwise, they face certain death. Knowing they have no other choice, Johns prepares to release Riddick, but Santana refuses to cooperate, insisting that Riddick must die. As Johns stands up, he notices Riddick's leg shackles have been unlocked. Santana raises his knife, but in the next second, Riddick kicks and knocks him down, catching the knife with his foot. He throws it, decapitating Santana before he can react. The others are stunned by Riddick's swift and deadly response. They quickly release him, realizing that retrieving the energy cells and escaping the deadly and cunning Riddick is their best strategy. Amid a torrential downpour, the group opens fire, carving a bloody path forward. Dahl and a few others stay behind, while Riddick, Johns, and Bounty Hunter Diaz ride motorcycles to retrieve the energy cells. Amidst lightning and thunder, monsters block their way, but Riddick executes a stylish spin, dramatically taking out the threats and leaping impressively, dazzling everyone. Johns, caught off guard, crashes his motorcycle and is surrounded by the monsters. Just when he thinks he won't escape, Riddick turns back to rescue him. Finally, the group reaches the location where the energy cells are buried. Diaz stands guard while Johns keeps a close eye on Riddick. As they dig out the energy cells, Diaz unexpectedly betrays them, knocking down Johns and grappling with Riddick. Riddick manages to break free and, rising from the pit, strikes Diaz with a stone knife, fatally wounding him. In his final moments, Diaz sabotages the motorcycle. Suddenly, Johns, armed with a gun, emerges from behind, securing the energy cells and the remaining motorcycle. He initially refuses to take Riddick with him, confident in his escape. Riddick scoffs. "Are you sure?" Johns checks the bike, only to realize that the other motorcycle had already been damaged by Diaz, intending them to be stranded together. With no other options left, they must fight their way back to the base. Amid gunshots, slashing sounds, and the roars of monsters mixed with the rain, Johns and Riddick unite against the external threats, struggling through perilous situations. After another fierce battle, Riddick's heroic aura dims slightly when a monster wounds him by mistake. Johns rushes to his aid, remembering Riddick had once saved his life. Would he return the favor? Instead of rescuing Riddick, Johns grabs the energy cells, turns around, and runs. Struggling, Riddick crawls towards a cliff edge, fending off the monsters cascading toward him. With no weapon left, he fights with his fists, but just as he is overwhelmed, a laser cannon fires from above, providing timely support. It turns out Johns, despite his initial reluctance, has activated the spaceship, repaying the life-saving favor he owed Riddick. Johns keeps his promise and provides Riddick with a spaceship. Riddick, reborn from his ordeal, immediately seeks revenge on the scar-faced man responsible for his hardships. Upon learning that the real mastermind, Vaco, has ventured into the Dark Star system through a Stargate, Riddick sets off in pursuit. Thus, his interstellar legend continues, promising more adventures and challenges in the vast expanse of space.